Hey, welcome back everybody to the channel. I hope you guys are all having a great day. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, we are in the Audi R8 and a couple days now, and I still cannot believe it. I am absolutely in love with this car. I enjoy almost everything about it. But we're going to talk a little bit about the one thing that I'm starting to enjoy, but I definitely had to get used to, and I actually even almost didn't buy the car because of it. And it's something I didn't really realize, but I'm actually going to kind of share that story with you. So as you guys know, I actually drove all the way up to Wisconsin from Kansas City, almost 10 hours to go check out this car. And the reasoning being is it was a one owner. Now, my Corvette that I owned was a one owner as well. And finding a one owner that is a 10-year-old car is not easy. So it required me actually driving quite a bit just to get to it. Now, I could have flown there, but I also did not want to look like, okay, I'm definitely buying the vehicle. Technically, it was a 10-hour drive, but I could have walked away if I didn't want to buy the vehicle. I didn't want them to have too much leverage. They knew I was obviously interested, but it was definitely a car that I was very, very interested in. It had all of the kind of odds and ends that I wanted, a lot of the extras. The only thing it didn't have is it didn't have as much carbon in the interior and as much carbon in the bay. There's really none, really, though, to speak of, but it does have the carbon side blades, which I love. But when we got up there, I actually got to test drive it. And guys, on my first test drive, I immediately thought something was wrong with the transmission. Now, I had read on the forums, I've never been in a Audi R8, I'd never driven one, I'd never been in the R-Tronic. Now, to give you a little insight on the R-Tronic transmission, it actually is a manual transmission that's automated. So it is a manual transmission, but it has no clutch. So for the enthusiasts out there that, you know, really love manuals, which I really love, that's one of those things, and I'm gonna make a video talking about why I went with an automatic, because there are 6-speed gated, which are amazing, amazing R8s, and I really want one. But at the same time, I went with the automated R-Tronic transmission. So anyways, I went on this test drive for the first time, and as I was kind of clicking through the gears in automated mode, I didn't use the paddles at first, I noticed this kind of lunging, and it's almost like power was being cut as you were shifting. And again, I had read on the forums that the R-Tronic was not the best, that it definitely had a lag to it if it wasn't shifted properly. You know, people said it was jerky, and I could kind of see what they were talking about, but this felt a little bit different. What I didn't realize is what I was feeling was if you don't lift off like a actual manual, because when you're actually shifting in a manual, let off the accelerator, you put the clutch in, you shift, and then you add gas again. Well, if you're shifting and you actually just leave your foot in it, the computer is saying, okay, wait, you got, you know, gas coming in, you're giving it acceleration, but we're needing to change gears, and it's not a dual clutch like the new S-Tronic is. This is the R-Tronic single clutch. And so it is cutting the power and then pushing you back in, so you get these kind of horrendous shifts, and I really thought something was wrong. Now, that's just my naive not knowing. I did not have an understanding on what it felt like to actually shift the gears in the R-Tronic. Now, once I actually put it in sport mode, it made a huge difference. That's always a lot of fun. So, you know, it made a huge difference, but it still was a little bit laggy. So I read that night, we didn't actually buy it the first day we got up there. We bought it the next day. I wanted to take some time to think about it. And so when we got up there the next day, I test drove it one more time, and I realized that the forums had explained that if you do this kind of lift off as you change the gears, if you don't keep your foot in, you can certainly, and it's going to be a rougher experience, which is perfectly fine. The computer is capable of understanding that, but if you want to get those smoother shifts, it's attainable, and that's exactly what I was able to do. I get much smoother shifts unless I just want to bury my foot in it, put it in sport mode, and have that jerkiness, which is perfectly fine, like I said, but it's not really what you want to do for everyday driving. So it really is something that you have to get used to, and I'm getting used to it. I'm getting better. And a lot of the guys that talk on the forum said, hey, after a while, you will start to appreciate the R-Tronic. And I'm starting to get there. I actually am starting to enjoy this transmission for what it is. Because, and it's a lot of fun because it kind of has points of it that remind me of a manual. If I'm at a light, and even if I'm in first, and it's kind of in the clutch disengaged moment, I can roll. If I'm in, you know, it actually will jump me over to neutral. Like I actually need to put it in neutral at a light. It's better on it because it's kind of sitting there waiting for you to engage it as you give it gas. Obviously the computer's going to go ahead and engage first because it is automated, but at the same time, it's one of those things that I am deeply appreciative of what this car is capable of. Now, one thing I will add on to this is kind of getting into the R-Tronics. Now that again is the dual clutch, and that is a much better transmission. I will say that they did a great job, and I've had the ability to actually drive a dual clutch, a R-Tronic transmission, if you will, and they are incredible. I mean, you bury your foot and you just kind of flick off the gears. You just keep going through them, you row through them, whatever you're doing. The R-Tronic is a very, very capable transmission, and I really do love it. I wish, you know, there's times I wish it, but again, there's gives and takes. I didn't want to spend the type of money it took to jump up to R-Tronic, which, you know, this is a 2008. I was gonna have to jump almost another more than 5 years. See, I'm actually rolling here if I don't keep my foot on the brake. So down the road, my hope is maybe to attain something with an R-Tronic, because I think that would be a whole different driving situation. But guys, you know, my Corvette was so raw, and I loved it in so many aspects, but it also felt different. Like, this car is so planted. I have so much more confidence in its ability to take turns and its ability to keep me just stable, especially at high speeds. It's incredible, even at just 100, 120 miles an hour. This car, you can't tell whether you're doing 120 or if you're doing 20 miles an hour. It's the same. And yeah, one of the Achilles heel is the transmission, but at the same time, it's totally livable. I really enjoy the car for what it is. It's incredible what they were able to accomplish. And you got to remember, this car is 10 years old, and I know it's only got 10,000 miles on it, but that was still technology that's 10 years old, and yet it was still very highly capable. And the transmission, though it is rough and kind of is a single clutch and a lot of people don't like it, it is very robust. A lot of people have given, you know, Audi a lot of props for how strong. It's not a crappy transmission in terms of strength. It's lasted people a lot of time, and people beat on their cars pretty hard when you're driving one of these. That's kind of the fun part of it, is the power isn't made till higher in the RPM band, and at that point you're really having to push the car to make the good power, and those are harder shifts on the transmission, so it's designed for that. So if you can kind of live with that, and you do have your sport mode, which kind of again helps make them a little bit quicker of shifts, but it doesn't always make them smoother. They're just a little bit quicker, so that may not feel as exaggerated as you make these crazy shifts. But you guys see, as I'm kind of going around, and if I don't have to step into it, but if I'm kind of shifting, I found 3,500 RPMs and then a liftoff will give me a very easy shift. If I'm actually lower in the power band, 2,500, it doesn't like that. It's going, no, I need a little bit more power and then shift. And that gives me a really nice crisp shift, and it's just something that I really, really enjoy, and I think for a long time I'm going to enjoy. So guys, thank you again for joining me. Hope you guys have a great day. Hit that like button if you guys did enjoy it. Subscribe if you are not already a part of the family. If you are, thank you again as always for the support, and you all have a great day. See you tomorrow. Take care.